What if everything you think you know about getting into Stanford is completely wrong? I spent 3 weeks analyzing the complete applications of 3 Stanford admits from the class of 2009. Students I personally interviewed for hours, and what I discovered will fundamentally change how you approach elite college admissions. One student got mostly 2s on AP exams. Another didn't even think about Stanford until August of senior year. The third applied on the last possible day, and all 3 got in. I'm Muti. I got into NYU and Dartmouth on full scholarships, and now I help students get into their dream schools using what I learned going through the process myself. And by the end of this video, you'll understand the exact framework Stanford uses to evaluate applications, and why most students are optimizing for the wrong things. Please subscribe because every week I upload real case studies from actual students breaking down what worked, what didn't, and the exact strategies that got them accepted. These are real applications from real students who shared everything: their failures, their strategies, their exact stats, and the specific essays that got them in. I'm going to break down each component, show you the data patterns that actually matter, and give you the precise framework these students use to stand out amongst 40,000 other applicants. Before we dive into the data, you need to understand something critical about Stanford's selection process. They're not looking for academic machines. They are looking for future leaders who will change the world. Stanford accepts less than 4% of applicants. That's not because they want the highest SAT scores. It's because they want students who will build the next Google, cure cancer, or reform broken systems. The 3 students I analyzed come from completely different worlds. There's no single path to admission. Brianna, first-generation college student from Salinas. Her high school was established in 2019, so new that many teachers were learning AP curriculum as they taught it. Her school lacked basic resources, no SAT prep, limited college counseling, and minimal EC opportunities. Yet Brianna didn't see these as limitations. She saw them as opportunities to build something new. She became a trailblazer by necessity, creating the programs and resources her school was missing. Jacob attended Poolsville High School, competitive magnet program in Maryland. But here's the twist. He openly admits he's not a genius and didn't start thinking about college applications until 3 months before deadlines. Jacob's approach was completely unconventional. While other students were strategically planning their high school careers, he was just pursuing genuine interest. Cello for 11 years, Taekwondo for 11 years, research at University of Maryland, and model rocketry. His success came from authentic passion, not calculated planning. And here comes Nandita, a high-achieving student from Michigan who applied to Stanford almost as an experiment. She was already committed to UMich when she decided to throw a Stanford application together on the final day. She completed her entire Stanford application in just 2 days. Not because she was rushed, but because she had developed such a clear personal narrative through her other applications that translating into Stanford was pretty straightforward. What connects these 3 isn't privilege, perfect planning, or identical strategies. Something much more specific. They each developed what I call authentic authority, areas they actually cared about. The traditional advice tells you to find your spike or develop a passion project, but that's backwards thinking. These students didn't manufacture passion. They discovered it, then built authority around it through consistent action over time. Now, let me destroy the biggest myth in college admissions, the myth that perfect stats guarantee admission. Let me show you why everything you think about grades and test scores is backwards. Here's the truth. Academic stats at Stanford are a threshold, not a competition. I spent hours calculating and cross-referencing the academic profiles of all 3 admits. What I found completely contradicts conventional wisdom. All 3 maintained a 4.0 unweighted GPA. That's your threshold. The weighted variations reflect school policies and course availability, not student capability. But here's what's interesting. None of them were valedictorians. Jacob specifically told me he was one of the bottom ones in his competitive program. This proves that relative class rank matters much less than absolute academic competence. This is where conventional wisdom completely falls apart. Jacob scored 1570 and Nandita scored 1570. Both excellent scores that cleared Stanford's academic threshold. But Brianna submitted no test scores at all. She went completely test optional and still got it. When I asked her about her AP performance, she was brutally honest. She got mostly 2s on her AP exam. Let me be crystal clear about what this means. Stanford admitted a student with mostly failing AP scores and no standardized test scores. Why? Because they had already determined from her transcript that she could handle Stanford's academic demands. So you might ask why this happened. Stanford uses what they call academic rating, a holistic assessment of your academic profile based on the resources you have. For Brianna, they saw a student maximizing limited resources at an underfunded school. Her 2s on AP exams weren't failures. They were evidence of attempting college-level work despite inadequate preparation. For Jacob, they saw consistent academic excellence across multiple domains. For Nandita, they saw a strategic course selection aligned with genuine academic interests. All 3 cleared the academic threshold using different paths. This is why obsessing over perfect scores is counterproductive. Based on my analysis, if you have a 3.9 plus GPA and are taking the most challenging courses available to you, you should be fine on the academic end. Once you clear the threshold, Stanford is evaluating something entirely different. Something that actually determines your admissions outcome. Which brings us to where Stanford admissions really happens. So this is where Stanford admissions actually happens. But not how you think. Most students approach extracurriculars completely wrong. They join clubs to pad their resume, they volunteer randomly to quotas, they collect leadership titles without creating real impact. This strategy fails at Stanford because it's transparent and inauthentic. Let me show you how each of our admits got in Stanford. Brianna's situation was unique because her school was so new and under-resourced. Instead of seeing this as a disadvantage, she turned it into her greatest strength. Despite these challenges, she accumulated over 720 community service hours and positioned every activity as solving a specific problem. In year 1, she joined Youth Crime Prevention Program. In year 2, she became the program leader and initiated school's first mural project. Year 3, she started a medical club and organized community health initiatives. She didn't just join activities. She identified gaps, created solutions, and built lasting institutions. Her mural project wasn't just art. It was addressing the lack of cultural representation in her predominantly Latino school. Her 720 plus community service hours weren't random volunteering. Every hour connected to her central mission of healthcare access in underserved communities. Hospital volunteering, translation services, health education, all building toward her goal of reforming medical care for Latino communities. Now, let's talk about Jacob. Jacob completely rejected conventional wisdom about specialization. He told me he thinks when people say don't be well-rounded, they mean don't be mediocre at many things. But why not just try to be great at many things? These activities span completely different domains. Research at University of Maryland, Undergrad Challenge finalist, model rocketry club founder, 11 years of cello and 11 years of taekwondo. The brilliance here is interconnection. His engineering research informed his innovation competition. His music developed discipline that helped athletics. His martial arts built mental toughness for academic challenge. What made Jacob's approach work was depth within each domain. Now, let's move on to Nandita. Nandita chose fewer activities but achieved significant leadership depth within each. She was president of DECA, leading over 100 students and quite a few board members. She also did varsity golf for 3 years and she did violin for 4 years. Along with that, she was also very involved in community fundraising. What made her application work was the scale of her leadership responsibility. Managing 100 plus students requires real organization skills, conflict resolution, strategic planning, and measurable results. Through DECA, she won national level awards. Her charity golf tournaments raised thousands of dollars for local organizations, which meant she was able to create measurable community impact. All 3 strategies work, but they share critical elements that Stanford specifically values. First, authentic interest. None of these students manufactured passion. Brianna genuinely cared about healthcare justice. Jacob loved music, martial arts, and engineering. And Nandita was interested in business and community service. Second, progressive leadership. All 3 showed increasing responsibility over time. Third, measurable impact. Stanford could quantify their contributions. And this is why random volunteering and club hopping fails at Stanford. Missions officers can distinguish between genuine leadership and resume building. The activities themselves matter less than the depth of engagement and authentic impact created. But even perfect stats and transformative leadership mean nothing without this final piece. The story that ties everything together and shows Stanford exactly why they need you on campus. You see, Stanford doesn't admit students, they admit stories. Specifically, stories that demonstrate how you will contribute to their mission of changing the world with knowledge and innovation. Each of our admins crafted a narrative that is impossible to fake because it emerged from genuine experience. After analyzing every data point, interview response, and application component, 3 revolutionary insights emerged that will completely change how you approach Stanford admissions. So, learning number 1. Academic performance follows a threshold model, not a linear model. Getting a 1600 instead of a 1550 SAT doesn't improve your chances. Getting a 4.0 instead of 3.7 GPA does matter. Focus your energy on clearing thresholds. 3.9 plus GPA, 1500 plus SAT if submitting, and most rigorous courses available to you. Beyond that, academics has diminishing returns, so redirect your energy toward meaningful extracurriculars. Learning number 2, impact over participation. Here's a wrong approach that fails for ECs. Join 15 clubs for resume padding, volunteer 500 hours at random organizations, collect leadership titles without creating change. And here's the right approach that works. Identify problems you genuinely care about, create innovative solutions, and lead implementation with measurable results. All 3 admits follow to create, don't just join. And here comes the learning number 3. The most powerful strategy is also the simplest. Pursue genuine interest deeply and consistently over time. Because authentic engagement produces natural storytelling ability, sustained motivation, and measurable impact. whereas manufactured engagement creates forced, unconvincing essays, inconsistent participation, and shallow impact. Stanford's admissions process is actually quite transparent. They explicitly tell you what they want: students who will change the world through the application of knowledge and innovation. Every successful application demonstrates this potential. The question isn't, how do I get into Stanford? It's, how do I become someone Stanford needs? So here's the application framework using the Ivy narrative method, which you can access in the link below. Number 1, academic foundation. Clear thresholds, then stop optimization. Number 2, find your authentic interests. Number 3, show progressive leadership. Number 4, integrate your story within that. And then ask yourself, why do you need Stanford-specific resources? If you want to see how I help students apply these exact principles to their own applications, I've put a link in the description to book a call. No pressure, just a conversation to see if the Ivy narrative method might work for your situation. And make sure you hit the subscribe button, because every week I upload real case studies from actual students breaking down what worked, what didn't, and the exact strategies that got them accepted. In next week's video, I'll break down Harvard admits using the same framework. The patterns might surprise you even more.